How's it going, class? This is ITL 530, post number 1, week 1. We're talking about self-regulation and self-control and how those two differ. The prompt asks to identify the 4 types of self-regulation, so I'll identify them and then I'll go over each one. So first off, we have self-monitoring. We have self-instruction, we have goal setting, and then self-reinforcement. And self-monitoring, that's kind of like our self-assessment of, our behavior and our emotions. The self-instruction is kind of just like positive self-talk, and I'm going to go over that in detail and reflect on my past experiences with that. You got goal setting. In goal setting, this is an important one for me because I'm a physical education teacher or on my way to becoming one. And so we always want to think about our goals in a way that we don't want to make them so easy that we lose interest, but we also don't want to make them so hard that we kind of lose motivation. So just finding that middle ground and making sure, we're being challenged, maybe failing a couple times, having a couple unsuccessful trials, and then ultimately, figuring it out and having a higher success rate after, maybe going through just a little bit of adversity. And then the self-reinforcement, for me, that's just not, being too hard on yourself and beating yourself up mentally. So I'll go into how self-regulation and self-control differs and just how I personally think about each one. Self-regulation, I kind of feel is more, it has that aspect of the self-instruction, the positive self-talk, and I kind of view self-control as more physical, maybe I think of it more as like acting out emotion and not just having like a mental dialogue with ourselves. So self-regulation, I grew up a baseball player. I played professionally. I got drafted out of high school. Spent a lot of time at both the pitching and catching positions. Even though I played catcher in professional baseball, spent a lot of my younger years pitching, and I've always been super interested in it because you can't get super emotionally attached to any one pitch. After every pitch, there's a constant, mental reset, and the practices I use for my own self-regulation, I kind of refer to it as my gears of breathing. So, say I give up a big hit, a double with the bases loaded in the 8th inning, my heart's kind of racing. I use these 5 gears of breathing to kind of slow myself down mentally so that I can focus in on the next task at hand. So what those gears look like when we're at our calmest state as human beings, and we kind of talked about the concept of calm in our first Zoom session. Our calmest state is when we're breathing through our nasal cavity, through our nose, and out through our nose without hearing ourselves inhale and exhale. So once our heart rate kind of picks up to that next level, that gear number 2, maybe it's more of a louder inhale and then exhale through your nostril. And then it's gear 3 would be, a deep inhale through the nose and then out through the mouth. And then gear 4 would be just mouth breathing. And then gear 5 would be complete exhaustion when you're huffing and puffing. So I kind of monitor my physical output, and it's a direct tie to like the physical and the mental here, especially when you're playing a game and there's adrenaline going, those are both interconnected. So I use these gears of breathing to kind of get myself to a point where I can kind of be in attack mode and attack the task at hand, and not dwell on any negative outcome that may have just occurred. So my goal as a teacher is to basically take this lesson that I've learned and took with me through my baseball career. How do I relate it to kids in a physical education classroom? And I think the way that I do it is just kind of maybe not as in depth as creating a whole breathing program for my students, but creating some kind of roadmap for them to have that positive self-talk and talk themselves through situations. So that's kind of how I think of self-regulation. It's the inner voice that we have to kind of get our emotions to a more even keel level. And then self-control is, I feel like a lot of people, they know the right answers, but they don't make the right decisions. So that's what I'm saying. It's more of a physical, it's the act of making those bad decisions. Or it's the act of, if I get hit around and I have a bad outing on the mound, or in any professional sports, I go in the dugout and throw my equipment and get all upset. That's kind of how I view self-control. So, I think if we have good self-regulation skills, that can kind of carry over and our self-control can be on point. So my whole goal here is to take these kind of lessons, like I said, into the classroom and, give back to students, give my knowledge to students, give back to the community, and, try to make this next generation, just more aware of their mental process. Let me know what you guys think. I appreciate it.